Kevin's away.
He is, oh, yeah.
Eddie's his representative. That's Angel Eddie.
The surrogate.
All right.
Oh.
As unlucky as that
CPU Angel.
They're thinking can't be.
Yeah.
What a size of the apocalypse.
All 18, yeah, all 18 inches of it reduced cubes.
He's moving this week, so he's probably
that's
dead
right.
tired, so I don't know.
That's right.
I don't know. He's a hard man to keep track of.
Yeah, that's right.
We're not on 9. I think we did 9 last week. Let's see, I got my note days.
Oh, these mornings are nice, huh?
Oh, great.
Beautiful.
It's awesome.
Right.
So, 6:30. All right, we're record low here. All right, so yeah, we're next up is 9 according to my notes here.
I believe it is.
It is not.
We're on what now?
9. Ezekiel 9.
Ezekiel 9.
Yep.
Bookmarks.
Yeah. Thank you. Now let's
Getting ready to fire up here.
get your cigars lit up and.
Mine's already lit up, but you won't see it.
There's somebody else walking up here to the car door shut? Nope.
Golfing.
I'm sorry.
A golfer.
Oh, golfer. All right. So
He's ministering in the court.
let's open up with a short word here. Our Heavenly Father. Oh, thank you for this glorious day. Thank you for this reminder this coming Monday, Memorial Day, of all those saints who have gone before us, all the people that have served our country, all the family members who had a big role in who we are today, Lord. Just guide us so we too can make an impact on our families and people that we know, so someday they might look favorably when we're gone upon us and what we did and how perhaps we impacted their lives. And Lord, we certainly understand the biggest impact we can make on anybody's life is the guarantee that they'll be in eternity with you, if they only accept your gift, very simply accept your gift of life through your Son, Jesus Christ. And Lord, help us today to take away from this message something that we can share with somebody else that might show them the light and the word and the truth. Lord, all these things we pray in your name. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
Amen.
It's like the weekend.
Memorial Day weekend.
I'm just so surprised Jeff is here.
Hey, happy to be here.
Happy to have you
It
here.
gives us a half of the disciple. Six is better than 5.
Okay.
Number 9 or 9?
9. Ezekiel 9. All right, I'll start reading. Judgment of the idolaters. Then I heard him call out in a loud voice, "Bring near those who are appointed to execute judgment on the city, each with a weapon in his hand." And I saw 6 men coming from the direction of the upper gate, which faces north, each with a deadly weapon in his hand. With them was a man clothed in linen, who had a riding kit at his side. Then they came in and stood beside the bronze altar. Now the glory of the Lord of Israel went up and above the cherubim, where it had been, and moved to the threshold of the temple. Then the Lord called to the man clothed in linen, who had the writing kit at his side, and said to him, "Go throughout the city of Jerusalem and put a mark on the foreheads of those who grieve and lament over all the detestable things that are done in it." As I listened, he said to others, "Follow him through the city and kill without showing pity or compassion. Slaughter the old men and the young men and the women, the mothers and the children, but do not touch anyone who has the mark." begin in my sanctuary. So they began with the old men who were in the front of the temple. Okay, let's stop there, I guess.
Just, what's the background on Ezekiel?
Ezekiel was a prophet towards the end of the Old Testament period before the 400-year intertestamental period.
Okay. So this is more Old Testament.
This is Old
is-
Testament.
Okay.
And he's speaking about the judgment of God on the house of Israel because of their sinfulness and their rebellion.
So we've also talked of how it mirrors Revelation. And while Revelation talks in terms of everybody, this is specifically to the Israelites,
Right.
who, of course, we are a part of that seed, so it's really speaking of us too.
I think it's interesting that he told the man in the white linen to go and put the mark on them. You remember back in Exodus, one of the plagues that killed the firstborn, people were told to put the blood of the lamb on the doorpost and the lintel, and the angel of death passed over all of the houses that were marked. So God marks those who are spared from the judgment.
Passover.
Right. And the question can also be asked, who was that guy in the white linen? Was it actually the pre-incarnate Christ, or...
Dick Tracy.
Yeah.
Or who?
No.
Never mind.
Melchizedek. Okay, but that's for more things. Okay. No, he said something. It was the order of Melchizedek. That's it. No, I know.
Yeah. Yep.
But
I know it's a Catholic, but Ash Wednesday with the mark of the ashes on the forehead, is that
Mhm.
something in the
You're Lutheran, we do that too, bud.
Yep. That's part of the tradition. Yeah.
that's it.
The ashes were Palm Sunday.
Okay.
Marked with a cross.
Okay.
Ashes from the palms that were made in fashion of a cross on Palm Sunday. They burn those, take those, and
That's the ash. Okay.
mark it.
Yeah, but isn't it significant? They were hailing him one day, 3 days prior to, with the palms, and the next, and then 3 days later.
Yeah. Yeah, they're beating them with it.
Isn't it interesting?
On Palm Sunday, it was basically the populace that were exalting him, and
Right.
then,
Oh, yeah.
Right.
then it was the Jewish leaders who were condemning him.
Yeah.
Honor in the highest.
Right. It's like, wow. It's interesting.
In the final days, God will mark the foreheads of those destined for salvation. That's Revelation 7:3. And Satan will mark his followers, who like him are destined for destruction. When God punishes sin, he won't forget his promise to preserve his people. God told the man with the marking kit to put a mark on those who are faithful to God. Their faithfulness is determined by their sensitivity to and sorrow over their nation's sin. Those with the mark were spared when the 6 men began to destroy the wicked people. During the Exodus, blood on their door frames, right? Exactly what Jim said.
These men that they're referring to, are these angels? Or are these just...
It doesn't say, but the probability was that they were angels.
Yeah.
9:3 speaks of the cherubim went up above the cherubim. Cherub is singular. Cherubim are an order of powerful angelic beings created to glorify God. They are associated with God's absolute holiness and moral perfection. God placed cherubim in the entrance of Eden to keep Adam and Eve out after they'd sinned. Representations of cherubim were used to decorate the tabernacle and temple The lid of the Ark of the Covenant, called the atonement cover, was adorned with two gold cherubim. It was a symbol of the very presence of God. Cherubim, seen by Ezekiel, left the temple along with the glory of God. Ezekiel then recognized them as the living creatures he had seen in his first vision. Okay.
I like to just comment on the cherubs around the Garden of Eden. To this day, historically, it has not been located. From the locations, there's been there's been some research, extensive research, and I'm surprised with even the satellite that we have that they have been. And of course, my assumption is that it's been blind for a reason. And it's biblical that's what I gather from it. And one of the reasons that the Lord kept man from re-enter into the Garden of Eden because of his sinful state, he could no longer enter into that fulfillment of life with that detestable body, that corruptible body.
Almost wasn't pure.
They couldn't, right? The two could not intertwine any longer.
It's interesting you mentioned the satellites. They've even done satellite imagery of ancient rivers that are no longer there to try to find
That's right.
the Garden of Eden.
That's right.
And they haven't been able to prove
That's
it.
right.
Well, and that is contradicted. Of course, all the naysayers just question everything, but over the years, there have been so many things that have been found as evidence.
Mhm.
The
that
ox.
So many of
Yeah.
these things are, in fact, that are in the Bible are true.
Right.
So while that one has not been able to been located or definitively decided where it is, there are so many things that have been that it's just incredible.
Correct.
Wasn't the ark like found on a
On,
mountain?
Yes.
on Arab,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
On
because-
Ararat.
Correct. That's right.
Which is one way to get it up there. Water.
That's right. At that time.
A lot of water.
At
A lot
that-
of water.
Right. And that's
So-
at that time.
So that has been
Yeah.
defined.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
They can't get to it to do further study because the government won't
Right.
permit anyone up there.
Where is this?
Arab, Turkey? Arab, around, is it around Turkey? Anyway, it's
I remember
over
seeing
there.
the pictures. You can just see the
Right.
outline
Yeah.
of the pictures. It's
Right.
like in the.
Well, one way to find out.
That's it.
Yeah. And this has been for a while now. They found that.
Yeah, over
Mhm.
25
Yeah,
years,
I was
right?
just gonna say 25 years. ago.
Yes, yes. Some time ago.
I wasn't aware of that.
Yes. Yeah, the
What you
role,
Push down the bags, just not fine.
Oh yeah, yes.
they've
Got.
Oh,
The road.
the Ark Encounter. It's in Kentucky.
I don't see it.
not that one.
Oh, not
I
that
don't
Not
see
that
it.
one, not the
Oh.
Kentucky.
That one's a little more modern. A little newer.
That one.
Screen servers on. So, you can see the battery life.
I have seen the advertisements for that on TV. The art.
It would be fun to go to that.
But
Yeah.
the robe has been defined and it's been established as the robe of the Lord or some priestly.
really?
Yeah.
Okay, it is Turkey.
Yeah, that's I thought about it.
2010, near the top of Mount Ararat,
Yeah.
seen from Armenia. A photo in Turkey. Explorers claim to have found Noah's Ark.
Right.
A team of evangelical Christian explorers claim they found it. Okay. Beneath snow, the volcanic debris. Interesting. Who wrote this book?
You know something else they haven't found as well. The
Ark of the Covenant.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
I was thinking the famous arts that we've
They've
talked
been
about.
really? I really, honestly, I was going that way.
I know.
They've been searching for it for decades and haven't found it.
That's right, and they have
It's
it.
in a military warehouse. Indiana Jones.
That's what was last seen.
But then I was watching
It
a
was the
show
last
that there is a country in Africa that says that they have it and won't let anybody in, but
Right,
that
I
was
saw that.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh, really? When is this?
I was watching a TV show not long
Yeah.
ago, and like they have
Okay.
they won't let anybody in, and there's like a guard in front of, whatever, but they claim to have.
Do they send out images to suggest, to create our suspicion so we want to go?
I don't think they
No, I don't
do. I
think
think
they
So
they
it's just all
guard,
verbal?
they guard the secret
Yep.
totally so that nobody can get to it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, let's be the raiders of the ark.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's following the same premises where they guarded and not to share.
Yeah.
So okay, that's in line.
I'm
I
not
can
going to
believe
that big rolling ball. No way.
No.
All right, enough of
Dodge
that.
those poison arrows
Good.
coming out of the wall.
Fiery darts.
Yeah, exactly.
No thanks.
Okay, 7. Then he said to them, defile the temple and fill the courts with the slain. Go. So they went out and began killing throughout the city. While they were killing, I was left alone. I fell face down, crying out, Alas, sovereign Lord, you are going to destroy the entire remnant of Israel in this outpouring of your wrath on Jerusalem? He answered me, the sin of the people of Israel and Judah are exceedingly great. The land is full of bloodshed, and the city is full of injustice. They say, the Lord has forsaken the land, the Lord does not see. So I will not look on them with pity or spare them. I will bring them down on their own heads, what they have done. Then the man in linen with the writing kit at his side brought back word saying, I have done as you commanded.
It's interesting, God has always kept a remnant. Anytime there's been judgment, anytime there's been destruction, the Lord has always kept a remnant of the faithful to Him. And of course, right now, we are of the remnant.
9:6, which we read before. Those who ought to have been the spiritual leaders of Israel, the old men blatantly promoted their idolatrous beliefs, and the people abandoned God and followed them. Spiritual leaders are especially accountable to God because they are entrusted with the task of teaching the truth. When they pervert the truth, they can lead countless people away from God and even cause a nation to fall. It's not surprising then when God began the judgment to judge the nation, started with the temple and worked outward. How sad is it that the temple, the one place where they should have been teaching God's truth, these men were teaching lies.
The more power one gets spiritually, the more visibility one gets spiritually, the bigger the target on their back becomes. And Satan goes after them because he knows if he can get to them, he can bring destruction to the body of Christ. And any time a quote-unquote great spiritual leader falls to sin, you see people falling away from church in droves.
Absolutely.
They had that.
Countless pastors that have,
That's right.
you see it.
There
Yep.
was a couple of pastors.
Remember Jimmy
that-
Swaggart a long time, some time
Yep.
ago, Jim
Jim
Baker.
Baker.
There's a couple of them.
Yeah, those are the last that I can.
Yeah.
What do you think of the young guy on TV?
Osteen?
Yeah.
I love Joe. I love his
I love
messages.
his
when he
father.
speaks.
His father was
Yeah,
great.
Joe, he has a certain anointing on him, you know, he has a way, everybody has a way to
The
present.
chemistry.
Yeah, he has a very, he has a sense, he's always.
I don't care for him myself.
But I would say that he fits the description biblically. He's one that his teaching is one that edifies, and that's what he does. He doesn't go into what's the North Carolina. You got the one that lives in North Carolina. He's 90 something right there.
Billy Graham?
Billy Graham.
Yeah,
Billy Graham. No,
he died.
He does.
he just recently.
Yeah,
just recently.
yeah,
Okay.
just recently.
All right. Anyway, his ministry was to witness to others and invite others into the assembly of Christ. That's everyone is assigned a certain area. So I think his niche is that, and some people may, it's like that. People, I think, someone appeared to look at it as claiming it famous type.
Right.
And but I just look at it from just one segment of it, and I judge it only
Well,
on
that's a
that.
nice positive thought.
I thought, I see Charles Stanley as one of the.
Oh, see.
I didn't mean to change the subject.
No, it's a different guy. I mean,
I know
it's totally
right,
different
right, I know
ministry.
you're talking
All right, you two, quit arguing.
Yeah, but like you say, Joe
Oh,
Osteen.
two little old ladies.
Listen,
Stop it.
Yeah.
Joe Osteen presents himself in a certain way.
Yeah.
So, and he gets through people. He gets through people.
Oh,
It's all
yeah.
about how you get through the people. And he gets through the people his way. Everybody has a way of getting through the people. He has a way.
Oh man, I mean, what's his name?
I've only heard him a couple times, but I've enjoyed what he said.
Is he biblical though? He's not a Charles Stanley. He's not a David Jeremiah.
No,
not his father.
He's not his father. It's not. That's why I say I like his father. I like
His
Old
father
man,
was
old
a
Steve.
yes. Oh,
His father was a great teacher.
that's right.
He was a great
Yeah.
teacher.
Oh yes.
All right, so.
Oh yes.
All right, so I'll take what you guys say. Now I want to hear from the expert.
So everything we said is what he's saying? Doesn't
I'm
matter.
going with Jim. I'm going with Jim.
Okay.
You
All
asked
right.
that. Go back.
Doctor.
I have seen some things that were not biblical that he proposed
Mm.
that were troubling to me.
Oh, yeah.
I can't say right now what they are,
Yeah.
so I probably shouldn't have even said that.
No, you should.
While
speak
we're
your-
on that subject, the Pope came out the other
Oh,
Oh, my
please.
Lord.
dear Lord.
day. And I'm like,
He wants out.
yeah, I'm like, this guy is going against every basic fundamental, it seems like. When he came out with that news the other day, I'm like,
What do you say, Eddie? You're Catholic.
Not pleased.
yeah.
You know, I'm going to gainsay the Pope necessarily, but I'll say this.
We've had, I mean, since I've come to this, and I'm constantly learning, I still know this much.
I want to be able to participate, but what was the
Oh.
language of the?
What he
The
gave
Pope,
up?
he came,
Right.
He
He
basically-
came out and said that it's okay to be gay. God
That's
made
the
you
way
that
God created
Yeah,
you.
it's all right. It's okay to have that
That's
lifestyle.
another.
Oh.
That's just.
But
But
since I've come into this, it's like when we read these passages, and it's very specific in what it says.
Yeah.
It's like, and we've had some folks that have come to this that you kind of want to interpret the Bible to fit your.
I know who you're talking about.
Okay, I'm not naming names, but you kind of want it to fit it your lifestyle, your views. You kind of twist and
That's
turn
society.
And that's what the Pope is doing right now.
Well,
And I'm like, I don't know. I was
There was
so
a
taken
subtext
back
to
like that, and I'm not
statement.
Catholic.
It was taken up.
So,
The statement itself.
You were more when you
was
take
all-
it
Wait a minute, listen to Ed.
You
What
know,
is
here's
it
the
saying?
statement all, but also following on to that was that you may have made that way, but you should not act upon those urges. That's what he said. So it wasn't just it's gay day. No, it was
Yeah.
he's acknowledging people may have inclination towards that. They should not enjoy that lifestyle. They should be hold back.
That's what he said.
Yes.
Isn't it
Okay.
easy to say? Isn't it easy to say two people of the same sex can't have a baby together? Doesn't that tell you something? How can you join a man and a man and have a baby? Who's giving it? How can you join a woman and a woman and have a baby unless you have another outside interference? That should be the right.
But I'm going back to
That should say everything.
I want to address the other statement that you made, that you said the Pope made, and the way that I'm interpreting it is that he's saying, I'm acknowledging the fact that you guys are gay, but you shouldn't participate.
Right.
That's what it sounds like, and I don't know if he's agreeing with, like, or was it more that he's saying it's acceptable to
I
be
think-
gay?
I-
But
I- I
don't
think it is-
participate,
I
or
think
was
almost
it
accepting.
I acknowledge?
Yeah.
That's how I.
But don't
interpret it.
participate.
That's an acknowledgement of their proclivity,
Condition. Right.
but
Which
that-
we do.
that they
You
should
must
deny,
you see it.
deny that at the same time.
Which is
okay,
correct.
that way you should not act upon it.
which is correct.
You know, there is a
you
difference
can't-
between accepting and acceptable.
Correct. Right. Right.
Oh, yeah.
And we should be accepting of that.
In a way, this has been a
Cor-
correct statement, if we look at it in its totality.
Correct.
Right.
You can't change people.
Right. You have to acknowledge
The
it.
whole,
But he's still that, but he's not giving
But you don't
any
accept it, you don't
value to
embrace
their-
it.
that lifestyle. He's saying,
Correct.
you're that way, but you have to resist the temptation to embark in that lifestyle.
Correct. That means that's biblically correct.
wow. That would be hard, wouldn't it?
No, but we do that every day. Think about it. What,
But did God make him that way? Would God make him that way? I don't agree with that.
I disagree with that God made us this way.
Yes,
I don't,
what
I don't
here's-
understand it enough to be able to say that.
Here's I'm going to go back to the as my foundation for me making that statement. That occurred when we fell with Adam and Eve, and then with that sin entered our body. That augmented everything.
Okay.
From sin gave birth to
Allowed
all.
anything to
Sin
happen.
gave birth to
Yeah.
disease. Sin gave birth to all these unheard of and undefined things that weren't supposed to be in the beginning. When we bit into that fruit, we bit into an object that was. I don't know. I think adjectives, Webster's can't describe the adjective.
Yep. I hear what you're saying.
And that's where sin came from. So when we're pointing the finger at why this and why that, it all goes back to sin. Why birth defects? Why these other ailments that should not be?
All part of the fall.
All part of the fall. It helps you to define a lot of things when you're looking for answers and solutions.
All right, so
Yeah.
I won't ask you, but I'll just say, I'll say, how many times have you had sex outside of marriage? Guilty, right?
Absolutely.
Guilty, right. So that's something that we know is wrong, and we act upon it, and it's no different than being a homosexual.
All sin proceeds from the lust of the flesh,
Right.
the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life.
Right.
And the sexual perversion comes out of
Is-
lust,
right.
whether
Same
it's
thing.
heterosexual or
The same-
homosexual.
Exactly.
It all
Same
comes
thing.
out of
So-
lust.
The same.
So, you know, church doesn't make as big a deal out of being adulterous as they do being homosexual.
But
Because adultery is much more prevalent than homosexuality.
not only it's look at it this way as well. It's what the society accepts. Those are this society's established norms. So we put a greater weight on this sin versus
Because that's
that.
not me, I'm not doing
No,
that. So
and but this accept, but then
Yep.
again,
I hear what you're
but-
saying.
yeah, you're right.
Sin is sin.
Sin is sin. You know, and that's the political platform that we live in this country. Oh, to do things contrary to the heterosexual norm is taboo, but to do the other that you mentioned is, hey, 3 Hail Marys
Yeah.
and a bow tie.
Frowned
And let's go.
More
You know,
frowned upon,
let's
right?
sing, Jack and Jill went up the hill tunes, and that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we create. We read a cartoon image to satisfy. It's incredible to satisfy ourselves.
Yeah.
We will create these images and exploit other things. It's outlandish.
Their sin is worse than my sin.
There you are. I'm the bigger God.
You know, but interestingly,
Yeah.
interestingly, if we were all standing shoulder to shoulder and 10 feet away from us on a table were all of our sins, and I saw yours, I saw yours, yours, and I saw mine, we'd run to our own rather than run to somebody else's.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take mine.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's an honest answer.
Yeah, but this generation here, as when we were coming up, you didn't see what you see now. What now is abomination of the gays. You seen some of that, but it was very limited. Now it's just people
It's all over the
married.
place.
It's all over the place now. The younger generation is the thing. It's all over the place now. Back then, you saw gays, but you didn't see as many as you see now. No way.
You know,
Now there is pride in their sin. There's exaltation of their
That's
sin.
It's celebrated.
that's what I want to say is the difference, because here's what I want to say, James, is what you're saying. Your notation is duly noted, and the reason what I'm saying, therefore, everything is relative. If we have back in that day, they had, let's say, 10 people,
Yeah.
but they say 5 out of the 10 were in another persuasion, so that was the enormous.
Right.
But now we have what we appear to be a greater proliferation of it. It's the same thing, but what Jim pointed out, which is we should look at, is they're taking pride in it. It's like, hey, this is what it is. We created that way. Now, when the question arises that we're having at this table, if the Pope said it was A-OK, that's questionable. That's what I was questioning.
That's all about the context. So you don't say okay.
No, that's what I.
He said it's a natural fact.
Right,
that
and
they
that's
require
important.
born a certain way,
And
but
that's-
they should not practice that.
Correct, and that's
Right.
correct. To me, that's truly stated, and it's a statement of truth.
Well, you also see in today's world, like after a tragedy, like I'll use the last school shooting for example, and you'll see a lot of Christians that'll come out and say our thoughts and prayers are with those people, and you see people attacking people for saying thoughts and prayers, and they attack that if there was a God, that there would be no tragedy like this, and you pray to your false prayer. They just don't get it's an easy excuse for them to push God away and justify their way of thought. I think it's so discouraging every time I see
Addressing the Pope's
people
statement, though,
Yeah.
is different, though. Here, we're talking here that I think in bigger terms. There are gays in the Catholic Christian community, okay? Now, they're feeling excluded. Therefore, that puts them further away from receiving the Word of God. So now, if you then say, I accept you as a person, I understand this, you shouldn't be doing it, but I understand that God made you that way, then they give them a doorway into the church, a doorway into the Word,
Amen.
and may be healed.
Amen. And that's, so none of us other than you, at least I didn't, delve into that any more than that surface comment that was made. And
Fake
that's
news.
the press.
Fake
That's-
news again.
That's right. The press.
Has a half-truth of truth, and it's not.
Right. And so everybody out there is thinking the Pope says it's
Condones homosexuality. No, he did not. But he acknowledged that
accepting.
people are homosexual, but he acknowledged also that they should strive to resist those urges.
Is anything wrong with that?
No, I don't think wrong with that.
I mean, if that's verbatim, I can't see anything wrong with that verbatim. If that's
Yeah, but here, there again, like I said,
Okay.
the point here is that, think about it now, we're sitting here talking about it, everybody, oh my God, the Pope this and that. And then you take the totality, then you turn to the framework of these people, much like divorced Catholics,
Yep.
things like that, they feel excluded from the faith of Christianity. Now he's saying, no, it's a big tent. Come on in, be part of it, accept the Lord, and be part of it.
and that's the see.
It's really a very positive statement.
Again, I've been following this Pope.
I agree, Ed.
Yeah, I've been following this Pope for quite some time. So when you guys brought up this,
Yeah.
I followed him early in, and that was when he was his exception like some years ago. But anyway, so when you guys brought this up, it was like, oh, gee, this might be contradictory to what I heard, and this appears to be in line with what I heard. Because here's what I see his teachings as: opening up the Catholicism so that they can see it in a realistic way, as opposed to targeting the sin, but acknowledge its sin, but saying, hey, it's still the their actions are not acceptable,
Love the
but their
sinner, hate
tolerance
the
of
sin.
who and treat them as. Yes, that's it. Period.
Okay?
I have
In a
no more to say.
nutshell. It may not have been as
Correct.
eloquent
Well,
as Jews may have
I,
put too much attention
Well,
on.
and we all recognize the target he has on his back.
yes, absolutely.
By not only Satan, but unfortunately many other denominations.
Yeah, absolutely. When I was listening to this guy, I'm saying, wow, he sounds like more of the non-denominational type
Yeah.
teaching ministers that I've heard. And I was amazed. I'm saying, gee, this is electrifying. Those who are under the priesthood and things like that, they really need to really hear what this Pope. He's done everything and places and went to places that other popes they haven't. Think about this guy's platform.
On the other hand, too, he is tend to be a little more on the liberal end.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
So
he is.
So when you hear him start with something like, "Hey guys,
Yes.
today is," I too was like, "Oh no, you gotta be kidding me."
He's that atypical guy.
Then I read the whole thing. I go, "Well, yeah, no, you gotta get the whole text, not half of it."
Did you look at his background?
Yeah.
Where he was raised and things of that nature?
He was raised in South America, socialist communist.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you looked at where his platform was and how he was, embroiled in taking some real experience, social experiences.
Okay, great
You
conversation.
would think he's running for office because he would want their votes by saying that. You know what I mean? That's what you would think.
Kind of, but
That's the kind of,
Yeah.
it's gotta be some, if you're doing that, it's because there's something you want.
I think it's by appointment. Same
I
thing
don't
with
know.
every one of our
It's appointed,
presidents.
right?
Whether we agree or disagree with them, I think it's by appointment by that higher than the popular vote, the electoral vote. I honestly believe it for all of this is in the Lord's hand, and I see that as the overview. I have some input. Do I affect change? Not the Lord's
He
change.
don't want to be cast out because he's probably got a lot of Catholics that's, states that, they're gay or whatever it is, so he don't want to be impeached out, or however you say it, he just wants to stay, he might want to stay in that position. There's a lot to go with that. Sometimes you have to go with something that you don't want to go with. That's probably what he's thinking.
well, is that faith, the Catholic, is that growing worldwide or is it shrinking?
I don't know.
I don't
depends.
I don't.
In the United States,
Shrinking,
for
right.
example, it's not dramatic, but it is shrinking. But then again, outside the United States, it's growing like wildfire.
Okay.
That's why, for example, at parishes, you'll see in the United States a lot of non-American priests now, because we have a lot of Filipino priests, we have a lot of Latin American priests, we have a lot of Asian priests, African priests.
There's not a pool from here.
Yeah, that's why the vocations is a big deal.
I used to attend a Catholic church years ago. Wow. And among other churches too. I have seen the Catholic Church change quite substantially in terms of the upward movement in a positive way. In spite of the negative images it's gotten from time to time, I see this productive.
Yeah, there have been changes. It's become more mainstream.
Yes,
Certainly
it has.
by long-
It has.
It started with John the 23rd in the mid-60s, the Second Ecumenical Council. That was one of the major changes in 500 years. And that's where one thing example is the priest used to have his back to the congregation. They moved the altar around, he's now facing, and it's more of a communal feeling of that, you see? And it's more enjoying the people.
Moving away from Latin to English.
Right.
Although I tell you what, the one thing I'll tell you what, there's not a lot of Latin you gotta know, okay?
Right.
In fact, the missalets when I was a kid growing up. You had the St. Joseph missalet.
Right.
And the left side was Latin, the right side was the English. So it's been, and there really isn't a whole lot. The order of the Mass may be in Latin, but the readings and stuff were all in the native language. So the cool part about Latin Mass is you go to Mass in any country and it's fully engaged. That's the one part about it.
No,
It's very good.
it's not right.
Because you got to be a Latin scholar to go to Mass.
No.
And so it's very,
Yeah, that's true.
in fact, most parishes, not most, many parishes have, for example, we're studying from a bishop mass. A Saturday night mass be on Latin Mass, I go to it sometimes, it's great.
It's changed. It's changed. It's becoming more reaching out to yeah.
All right, so let's get on to 10 here. Chapters 8 through 11 depict God's glory departing from the temple. In 8, 3, and 4, his glory was over the north gate. Then it moved to the door, the threshold of the south gate of the temple, the east gate, and then finally to the mountain east of the temple, probably the Mount of Olives. Because of the nation's sins, God's glory had departed. All right, so as we read through 10 here, just be mindful that the cloud that is talked about here is reference to the presence of God. So who wants to?
What's a cherub?
It is a created being that was created to worship God.
Angelic beings.
Angelic being.
Different than an angel?
Angel.
It is an angel.
Angel.
It is.
Angel.
Okay.
It's a classification.
Actually, it's a classification.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
And it's depicted, we think of cherubs, it's depicted as a cherub.
Little arrow with the wings
Yeah.
flying around.